Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by The Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffitt Entertainment. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everyone. It is a pleasure to have you along, listening, downloading, streaming, whatever you do. It's so great that we have great conversations this week. Once again, correct that. Again, it's a one conversation, but this time it takes the better part of the hour as we speak with two incredible young singer-songwriters. They also happen to be a couple. We spend the better part of the hour with Grayson Schultz and Audrey Vargas. By the way, thanks to those of you that came out to March Madness Trivia Tuesday night at Chasers. It's also March Madness Trivia at the Sky and Tea Friday night with a Ruggedly Handsome one. But if you're thinking it's just a duplicate, think again. Different questions. Plus, we will be back at Chasers next Tuesday with Wildcard Trivia. Look for an update on our Facebook page. Here we are. It is episode number 120. Let's celebrate. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day in your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. All right, lift 'em high, whatever you might happen to have in your hand at this time of day, because it depends on when you're listening. But let's toast a great man that follows music around the Sioux Empire. His name is Pat Hartigan. We could really just toast him for that because of everything that he does. But this week, he made such a great point. And what we really need to toast are our priorities. Pat Hartigan's Facebook meme this past week was, "I really should save money. Ooh, look, concert tickets." Yes, and that's what happens. We even talk about it later when we're talking with our guests Grayson Schultz and Audrey Vargas. Pat is a great guy, so here's to you, my friend. Certainly appreciate everything that you do around town supporting the arts and entertainment. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours. You know what? No matter what brewery in Sioux Falls is your favorite, Ale Hop Brewery Tours lets you and your friends choose any or all of the 8 local breweries. Now, right now, there's 5 local breweries that are competing in not March Madness, but Mash Madness. And they've collaborated with our friends at Ale Hop Brewery Tours. So you can take a tour. You don't have to worry about, having a little too much to drink because they transport you from one place to the next. It's a great deal. I am so looking forward to the time that I actually have a little time that my wife and I can do that so she can have a whole bunch of beer because I'm a Jack Daniels drinker. But I will on occasion have a beer at some of our local breweries just because I like to support them. Besides, I usually support them in other ways, including not just beverages, but also their food items that so many of them have. It's incredible. So you want to be part of that incredibleness, don't you? Here's what you do. Book a private tour online at alehopbrewerytours.com. Right now, in the month of March, you put Mash Madness 2022, and you're going to get yourself 10% off. So, Mash Madness 22. I think I said 2022 earlier. Mash Madness 22 at alehopbrewerytours.com. That'll get you 10% off. All right, so take it from others. I'd recommend this tour to anyone, beer lover or not. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews. They also have Wine Wednesdays. Honorable mention. All right, well, what tickled my funny bone, made me laugh silly, or just put a big smile on a grandfather's face? That's what it was earlier this week on Monday. I had to rearrange a few things, but I was able to make it over to Brandon's, the Brandon Valley Performing Arts Center. Beautiful facility. And the reason I was there is because our 10-year-old granddaughter is just, I'm tapping my chest right now where my heart is, because she is just so wonderful. We love Harper. She's 10 years old, and she was one of about 100 elementary and middle school students in a festival choir, because it happens to be March being Music in Schools Month. Now, sometimes you go to a concert of elementary and middle school kids and so forth, and your ears on occasion might go, but no. 100, it was probably right around 100. Solid. And they were having fun, and they respected their director and their accompanist and everybody else. And just a nice half hour where they just belted it out. So proud of her, but also let's be thankful that we have such things as Music in Schools Month. Yeah, that definitely needs some applause. All right. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to spend the best part of today's show speaking with Grayson Schultz and Audrey Vargas, the couple that also happen to be young singer-songwriters. Oh, yeah, they can play too. So that's coming up next on the Dave Holly Hour. Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself, too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
The Dave Holly Hour. Like eavesdropping on a great conversation between two very interesting people.
Welcome back, everybody. It is always, you know what I'm going to say. It's always such a pleasure to talk to great creators, especially when it comes to the music scene here in the Sioux Empire, and especially when you can find a couple. And I know we've talked with Brady Reed and Katie Reed before about their music interests. Well, today we bring together Grayson Schultz and Audrey Vargas. And it's just such a great pleasure for me to be able to have you both on the show. It's been a long time coming. I think I saw you guys back in, let's see, it would have been Jazz Crawl that was going on. So that puts us back in the middle of July. Yep. And then I started to try and get in touch with you a little bit, Grayson, and it was like, oh, man, just can't do it right now. And,
got to play hard to get a little bit.
Oh, you're wearing the Come and Get Me cologne, huh?
Right.
Yeah. But it is just so great to have you both here.
Thank you.
And to be able to have a great time and talk about everything that you have going on. So first of all, let's talk about each of your events that you have musically, and then, of course, collaboratively, too.
Sure.
So, Grayson, how did you get started playing music?
Well, actually, I played sports all through middle school, and that was a great passion of mine, and basically broke my collarbone between 8th and 9th grade.
Okay.
So I was set to play sports, and that happened, and then it was just I wiped out on a bike and broke the collarbone, and then immediately said, okay, I can't move very much. So instead of having sports shoulder problems, I decided to have guitar neck problems.
Yeah, and calluses on your fingers.
Right,
then,
exactly.
Right?
Yep. So I just started playing guitar nonstop, and I was always in choir and stuff in school.
Okay.
So it was a natural transition there. So.
Self-taught?
Yep. All
Okay.
self-taught. Yep.
And was it originally playing by ear more so? Or?
Yeah, so I found a little Christmas book that had the chord chart pictures on
Okay.
top of and Christmas music, something that I knew. So I could, knew the melody and stuff like that, knew how it was supposed to sound. It was a struggle at first, but seeing those little pictures of where to put my fingers and figuring it out, learned the whole book. And then from there, it was just like, take these 3 chords and make a song. And that's what I really like to do. Like right off the bat was just write music and write songs for my friends, for my family, for myself, so, and then from there, it was just all time spent, just constantly sitting in my bedroom, mom yelling downstairs, hey, be quiet, so.
And while they were doing that, though, they were also thankful you weren't into drums.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got my start with that. And then gained confidence through starting a worship band. When I was 14 years old, I started for my church, worship band, and then just did talent shows, stuff at school and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I started.
So how long would you say it took you to be proficient then? At guitar?
I'm still learning. So
Well, aren't we all?
Right.
That's a big part of it. In fact, I just read a great article last week about everything that somebody that wants to be an artist, and they meant that in the broad term of all artistic endeavors,
Right.
is that never stop learning.
Yeah,
part.
exactly. Yeah. So I would say just gain confidence through that first band that I had started, and really started once I started surrounding myself with musicians that could challenge me and push me. And I've been fortunate in Sioux Falls to find some of the very best in town that have.
I was going to say we got a couple of talented people around. Don't we?
Yeah, they're definitely
Wow.
some great musicians here.
Yeah.
So, and I've been fortunate enough to have those guys kind of push me along and challenge me to try different things, or almost take some of my ideas and put their brains on it, and kind of, this is what you're trying to do. So then that kind of developed me in what I was trying to go for musically, original music wise.
Yeah.
So
Audrey, what is your story about the beginning in the music industry?
In the music industry, wow. Well, I would say that our stories are very similar. I broke my collarbone, but it didn't lead me to play guitar. I actually did play for a worship band when I was about 14 years old. And although I was always a singer, they really taught me how to sing. You grow up and you do the choir, you do the show choir.
Right.
But in church, sometimes you have that soul, and they just really impacted, my ability to sing, and just gave me the freedom to try new things. And from there, I had a friend of mine said, why don't you try out for American Idol? And this was back in 2009. So I just said, what the heck? I'm graduating high
Right.
school. Like, I don't have a perfect career path yet. I'm still figuring things out. Like, why not just give this a try? And so I had the wonderful opportunity to go to Hollywood after getting
Right. You got
accepted,
accepted.
the golden ticket, everything, and I just really discovered how little I knew about music at the time. And so that was just such a learning experience. I came
In
home.
what regard?
In what regard? Just understanding who I was as an individual and the type of music that I wanted to produce. I was always able to play other people's songs to the best of my ability, and I just started to understand, like, okay, how do their songs translate to my life, and how am I able to put that out and make that my own? And then that kind of took me to the next level to say, well, why don't I just start writing my own music and what matters to me, and how I'm able to impact a community or a single person through the songs that I'm writing? Because we all have music that has led us, has brought us through tough times or happy times. You play rock and roll or pop when you want to dance and entertain, or you play smooth jazz when you're sitting down, in the living room by the fire. So we all have those songs that mean so much to us in a certain point in time. And I feel like if our songs can impact one person in the same way that other music has impacted me, then we're doing something right.
Yeah. Now, do you collaborate at this point now when it comes to the songwriting, or are you each writing your own and then you take a look at each other's work? How do you balance this?
That's a wonderful question. I think
get in one per interview, one wonderful question. So run with it.
Well, I think Audrey and I, when we first sang together, it was through a worship team, and we instantly felt like a connection. It was more of a, it wasn't so much like playing the song, looking at the sheets or whatever. It was instantly, once we knew the songs, we would just start kind of looking at each other, and it was like awkward at first. It was like, what am I looking at this person for, you know? And then we just started like really feeling the music together, you know, through that. And then, so there was an instant kind of connection musically for us that was just well balanced. And,
I agree. And what I loved about those first moments, I don't think I've ever told you this, but we were just able to harmonize on this music playing for the first time ever together. And that was just something that I felt like I had never had that connection with another human before, where it was just we were able to like, we knew where we were going in that moment, where the peak was in the music and where the finale, you know, was. And it was just so wonderful to be able to do that in front of our friends and family as well. So
that has to be a great experience when you actually get to that point and you can feel it, that we're not just singing for notes and words on a piece of paper. We're singing to make a difference.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then creatively, I think when we write, you know, whether it be the initial idea usually stems from one of us, I would say. And then as we develop it, we just kind of bounce like, oh, well, let's try this, or let's change this word, or, you know, and then I'm more of a repetition, you know, I'll, you know, beat it till it's, you know, I don't know. Anyway, and she'll kind of take an outside perspective on things, and, you know, just let it kind of breathe, as you know. So I think through each other, we just kind of find a good balance of, you know, the me wanting a perfected, you know, type product, and then her being more like, well, we got to let ourselves breathe, you know. As far as creativity goes, it balances itself really well. So, but yeah, as far as creating together, I think it's a joint effort overall.
I agree.
What was the first song you wrote together?
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you remember?
Was it Headed West?
Well, I'm not sure.
Or Spend It All?
I think it might have been Spend It All in the Garage. There might have been a few before that, but I think that's the first one.
Would you like to tell them about that?
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead.
So we had both found ourselves living in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, just a wonderful place to experience music and growth. And it just so happened we were like, oh, hey, let's get together. We're both from Sioux Falls. Like, we'll try and write some music together, just get the creative juices flowing. So we're in the garage of of your house. It was your house at the time.
Yep.
And we were singing this melody, or this chorus called, "What's a life with all that money if you don't need it?" If you don't need it. And
it's basically a song about spending it all, because, you know, at the time we were pretty broke in the big city, you know, just musicians trying to make it. So it was just like, you know, you want to go out and have fun again? Well, we really can't afford it, but yeah, let's do it.
Whatever, you know.
Spend it all. We don't care, you know.
Yeah, we don't worry about tomorrow.
We're just going to have fun with each other, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know Pat Hartigan at all?
Yeah. I know Pat.
Pat had a great meme this week on Facebook.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it was a little fish, and it said, you know, I really need to learn to save money. And the next thing is, oh, look, concert tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
That is us.
That's basically us.
Yep. So we were, you know, singing this song, and we were so excited about it. But the most spectacular thing had happened. It's only happened to me once in my entire life.
Yeah, that time. Yeah.
We were singing this chorus, and as soon as we finished the chorus, a songbird outside of the garage, the garage door was open. A songbird repeated the melody back to us.
Whoa.
And we were like, we both looked at each other. Did you hear that? Oh my goodness. I think we even have it on an old record somewhere.
There's no way. We were just hearing that. And then we did it again.
And the bird did it back to us.
We actually have a recording somewhere of the bird singing the same melody back to us.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
So that was just a great experience. Again, that was just one of those moments where we're like, wow, you know, we must be doing something right. What an honor to have a songbird, you know, mimic our music.
Right.
They're the songbirds.
So at what point did you say, you know what? we got to do this. Besides the singing and the songwriting, we got to be performing together, and let's see if we can't make a go of this.
Well, I think we were there for a purpose. Both of us felt like we had a little bit to offer, and so we went down there with a chip in a chair and a dream. So we went down there with ambitions, and so I left Sioux Falls just with a big Chevy Van 20 camper van, and actually went to Clarksdale, Mississippi first.
Okay.
And I was down there with a couple of friends, and we got to see the Juke Joint Festival while I was there, which was super awesome. And saw some of the best blues musicians and met some of the greatest people in that small little community downtown there. And then was there for a little while, and then just decided to go up to Nashville. And with my van, I had no plans on a place to live or anything like that. I just kind of was like, well, I got a camper van, so I can always find a place to shower and all that. I had friends down there too, so
right.
But I think for the first 2 months I was there, I was living in my van and just in a camper, and it was some of the best times of my life, man. Just
right.
Meeting people, going out to all these songwriting nights and open mics, they call them here, I think.
Right.
And then hit up Audrey, and I came over there, and we started playing music, and it was like, hey, we should do some more of this, So we hung out, started falling in love, I think.
Yeah. That's awesome. What a great story, man.
Yeah,
That's what I love about it. It's not just we're talking about the music, but this is not just a collaboration of writing some words together.
Right.
Yeah. It's a soul thing, and
exactly.
I can tell, take a look at you, soulmates. It's pretty easy and very easy to see that right away. In fact, it makes me think of the first time I did see you, because you were already up on stage as part of Jazz Fest. And
at Jazz Fest?
Well, no,
the Jazz Crawl. Okay.
Excuse me.
I did play Jazz Fest.
We are recording at our wine bar, and I'm on number 3 here.
We're catching
cheers,
up.
Dave.
Yeah, cheers. There we go. Excellent. But at the Jazz Crawl last year, and you were at Pave, up on that second floor, and I believe the billing was Grayson Schultz and some other great musicians or something along that line, was it?
That's exactly what it was.
Some actually good musicians.
Some actually good musicians. Okay. And you were playing a little jazz and so forth. It was great, and enjoying that. And then all of a sudden, this very beautiful woman walks into the room, and everybody's heads turned like, wow, who's that? And then somebody said, that's Audrey Vargas. She was on, she was on Idol and all that. And everything starts going. And she and Grayson, they're together and they're an item and everything. So that was fun. And then to see Audrey get involved as well. It's just fantastic, and it's, it is just so fun to see people that have passion.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people often is that my passion is talking to other people about their passion. And it's evident, obviously, with the two of you. Where do you see this going from here?
Well, I think at this point, we've got 3 kids. I think, That's no, we do have 3 kids. And,
you haven't lost count yet.
Back in the days when we had wallets, you'd have pictures of them.
Right.
Now you got to pull out the phone.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a little harder to get out, and, it was a passion of a career, for us for a while there. And then, the family takes hold, and you realize, you got to work hard for those kids so you can, take care of them. And so right now, I think we're just enjoying each other and just writing music, and we're getting more comfortable with all that situation, of having a family and just trying to still work music into the equation there. And it has its challenges, but I think
obviously
it makes it more special when you get out. And honestly, we use our shows as kind of a date night, because it's like we get the sitter and you go out and, if you're fortunate, you make a little cash while you do it. And, so it's like a paid date night, and we take full advantage of it, as far
find
as
a way to do that.
exactly.
And to answer your question, Dave, I think this is the dream right here. We have the opportunity to play music whenever we feel inclined. We're blessed with 3 incredible children, healthy children, and we're surrounded by a wonderful community who supports our music. And so I think this is, for us, this is the dream. And we're
and also grandparents for sure.
Grandparents, yes. And we're just looking forward to, maybe putting some music on some albums and just being able to have something for our children to remember us by.
Yeah,
So.
for sure.
Right. And obviously you've got fans too that would love to have that.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we?
We do.
Oh, I think you do. Yeah. There's quite a few.
Well, yeah.
Anyway.
We're blessed.
So singer-songwriters, though.
Yep.
So when you're out and about and doing some gigs, you are playing those songs. Is that harder to do because it's original material when so many people are looking for covers? And obviously they request a song, most likely, that's a cover, not one of your original tunes. What's it like to go through that process to make sure that you still satisfy an audience but satisfy your artistic skills?
Yes. I think as a musician, the hardest thing to learn is that every single show is going to be different. The venues that we play at, we really just go by the people that we see there. If they're asking for requests, we're going to play requests. If they're just, sitting down to have dinner and just only there to talk with one another, sometimes it's hard to grab the attention or to feel like what you're doing is important. But you, as a musician, you're setting the mood, you're enlightening people. And I think the ultimate goal is, not only as an individual artist, but for me, I feel like music is a two-way streak. If you're not influencing their spirits, are you just making noise? And so, what was the question?
Yeah. In terms of being singer-songwriter,
yes.
getting your own material
Yes.
out versus playing the covers.
And so I think when we play for a crowd that knows us or says, hey, we've seen you before, we love to hear what you have to offer. I think that's easier for me to play original music when you have people who are actually there to support you. But sometimes when we go out of town and we're in a place that's brand new to us, then we'll kind of play more covers and be like, okay, this is kind of what people are liking. We don't want to go there and be like, oh, these guys were so standoffish, we just like to.
Yeah, I think that's why Audrey balances me nicely, is I've been fairly adamant about sticking to my original music. And, I've in Sioux Falls, before I moved away, I played downtown at places for 10 years and I played all original music. And there was nights where people kind of give you the I'm eating dinner or I'm just want to be here and talk with my friends and drink or whatever, and I was completely fine with it because I was finding my stride musically. And, and I did find that even if somebody wasn't invested in the song, singing along, or necessarily even clapping for the tune at the end of the song, I found many times I'd walk through and kind of gauge the crowd and you did great. Or, I didn't feel ever like I was being booed out of there or anything like that. Yeah. So, and that's what I've stuck to. And I find that my opinion on it is you can go most places and find those cover tunes. You can find, people playing a lot of cover tunes. Basically, from the last 15 years of my experience in this town, most people are doing that.
Right.
So I didn't have an issue with myself being, doing something different. Yeah. I just felt like, okay, if I'm going to be the guy that wants to stick to my guns on that and they want to keep hiring me, then that's what it is. And if they don't want to, then, I'm sorry, but
yeah. Okay. And I do have to ask, I've got a good friend that is a singer-songwriter. And I asked him one time, I said, okay, what's easier to remember when you're singing the lyrics? A top 10 tune that you've done a million times or one of your own? He says, one of my own.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think because in original music, there's a certain kind of, there's little, nuances to your tunes that trigger a certain way you've rehearsed it. When you write a song, I think most people that write those songs probably have played it so much they don't want to hear it anymore before they show anyone else. So, there's just certain things with original music that when you create it, it becomes more ingrained into you as opposed to something you're trying to portray as someone else.
Absolutely.
So.
Now, Grayson, you mentioned something just a little bit ago, and I kind of want to piggyback on it a little bit.
Sure.
And Audrey, you referenced it as well in terms of, your songs getting to other people that are your original works. and you not getting, booed out of any place and so
Right.
forth. I was a clown for many years.
Oh, sure.
Literally a clown. And I always like to tell people this when it comes to the value of entertainment. I was at a nursing home in a small town in southwest Minnesota. And first of all, I walked in and they were making a carnival day. So all the staff was wearing red noses and so forth. Well, we just wanted to make you feel comfortable and everything. It's like, well, I already do. But, one of the gags that I would do is I would hand out a sticker and then I'd have a little squeaker in my hand. And I'd say, now, this is a magic sticker. If you press this guy right on his nose, and then I'd squeak it. And, most people, and they'd understand what the gag was and so forth. Well, there was this one gal sitting in a wheelchair, no emotion at all. And so I'm thinking, oh, she's not having much of a day, is she? So I go over there, and I do this bit with the sticker and squeaking. She looks down at the sticker, she looks up at me, and she says, well, I'll be damned. And, so got a chuckle out of that.
Yeah.
But then when I was leaving and waving goodbye and so forth, all of a sudden I feel this tug on my arm, and it's that gal.
Okay.
And she says, thank you for a wonderful day of entertainment.
Right. Yeah.
So the person that I thought, and maybe others in that room that day also thought was getting the least out of it, might have gotten the most.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I really think that's a true, statement there, because that happens all the time.
Yeah. That reminds me of the night in Okoboji. Do you remember? Do you know what I'm going to say?
I don't.
Where at Okoboji? I love Okoboji.
At Bracco. At the Bracco
yes.
Sandbar.
Yeah. One of
next
my
to
good
the
friends
waterfront.
does magic there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know they did
In
that.
fact,
know either.
in fact, he's one of the sponsors of the show,
wonderful.
Jesse Moffitt.
Oh, awesome.
Well, hi, Jesse. Yes. Well, we play in Okoboji, 10 to 12 times in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this year it'll be 8. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Something
7 or
like
8,
that.
yeah.
But every time we go down there, we get excited. It's just the type of place where people will clap no matter how good or how bad you are. And they just want to be entertained, whether it's
Right.
like show stopping or let's throw tomatoes at the sky, And so we
Could be the
started.
sun from the lake. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be that too. The margaritas.
Right, yeah.
So we started this tradition. If you name it, we'll play it. If we know it or not, we'll try it. We'll
Almost
pull up-
like the old Stump the Band.
Yes.
Correction.
Yes.
Correction. If you name it, she'll play it.
And it has led to some, extremely awful, but also extremely wonderful evenings. But this one night we were there, and we were just having kind of a hard time feeling like we were welcome. And, it was just one of those nights where I didn't feel like I was hitting it. And then, we had this idea, okay, Audrey, Grayson, we're sowing a seed. Whether or not these people are clapping or dancing or even nodding their heads, if we're having a good time, somehow in some way, someone else is going to have a good night. And so we took, 15, 20 minutes. We were talking about this. And we're like, okay, we're just going to sow the seed. That's all we're doing. And we got up there and we started playing some of our best music, and I started dancing and Gray started dancing with his guitar. And eventually by the end of the night, we had the entire audience, the entire beach bar up at the front dancing with us. And it's just
Awesome.
180, yeah.
Gray and I and 2 guitars. There was no
Yep.
drums, no keys, and so I really think that's true. Even if you don't feel like someone is feeling, what you want them to, somewhere someone is.
Right.
So,
Right. Yep.
yeah.
I always like to tell my comedian friends that, just because somebody wasn't laughing uproariously out loud doesn't mean they weren't laughing and enjoying the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about
I don't
that.
find myself when I go see comedians that I'm laughing out loud, but
Yeah.
I'm inwardly
Yeah,
just
just
hysterical.
enjoying
Yeah.
it. Hey, that was a great
Exactly.
show,
Yeah.
That's me. I will laugh. I will cackle
All right.
away.
And we are speaking with Grayson Schultz and Audrey Vargas. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break, and we'll be back with more of these two wonderful people on the Dave Holly Hour.
Hi, my name is Jesse Moffitt, and I'm not a piano player. I'm a comic magician and hypnotist. I've been performing for over 20 years. I've performed at many events, corporate events, holiday parties, post-prom parties, graduation parties, state and county fairs, festivals, just about anything you can imagine. The funniest thing about the Magic Act is that I use a ton of audience participation, and that can make things really interesting. Put it down the front of your shirt. So I'm not, my hand won't follow. The best thing about the hypnosis show is that the volunteers and their imaginations really make it a blast.
Holy crap, dude, did you see what you just did? You could do that possibly to girls.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffitt Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
He's a bit flirtatious, but most of all, fun. Here is Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, we are speaking with Grayson Schultz and Audrey Vargas, not only musicians, but also singer-songwriters, and, well, they happen to be a couple, with three amazing kids. Although Grayson wasn't sure of that number earlier. I think we've got three kids.
Number three only.
I just won't dive in on the jokes there. I'll play the safe card.
But it is so fun to have you guys around. And you've been around Sioux Falls, but you've also been down in Nashville, as we mentioned. And now when you moved back, having had a Nashville experience and so forth, what were your thoughts about that?
Well, so we didn't move straight back from Nashville. We moved to Seattle, and then we lived there for a while.
Needed some good coffee?
Yeah, we had to get a little coffee, and then both places were really amazing. So it was completely different, the two places, but we just found the Pacific Northwest to be a place of great adventure, and that's kind of what we were on when we were down there. And music was amazing, and it just wasn't enough. I think we were seeking more of an adventure. So we just jumped in the van. Well, actually 2 vans. But and then we came back here and we played a show, and then we just jumped on the interstate and went west. And then that's kind of but back to your question, moving back here, well, Audrey was ready to have our first child, my daughter. And she actually left 2 weeks before I did. I had to finish out some work and get our apartment situation figured out. And so I was actually living in my office at work out there for about 2 weeks. Ooh. I just love to live anywhere. You know, just give me a bed.
Give me a van.
Not even
an office.
A bed
good.
and a cot.
Yeah, kitchen, maybe a toilet. Yeah. So I finished up out there, and the whole time we were just worried she was going to go into labor while I'm out in Seattle still. And fortunately that didn't happen, but finished that up. So she drove back, with her dad, and then I followed up shortly thereafter, and then we had our first child. So it was I had a job lined up by the time I got back, and then shortly thereafter we bought our first home, and it was like a whole different world again, you know. So it was like going to Nashville was one thing, going to Seattle was another thing, and then having a bunch of babies is entirely crazy another thing.
So when you were up in Seattle, then besides the great coffee, were you also did you become grunge?
Well,
we saw a lot of Kurt Cobain.
Or did you stick to your roots? And
oh my goodness, I think grunge and pop and rock play major influences in some of the music that I write, and I think that when I told my family and friends, "Hey, I'm with Grayson. You know, we got the bags packed. We're going north. We're heading to the Pacific Northwest," they were like, "What are you doing?" But I knew there was something here, and I wanted to see what life was like other than Nashville. Music City is wonderful. It has great country roots. It has great blues roots. I mean, you're so close to Memphis. Mm-hmm. But there was just something about another side of music and the other side of the country that was so tempting, and just felt like, I want to give this a try. And so not only was the traveling fun, we actually came when we were like vacationing to get to Seattle. I transferred jobs up there too. We came to Sioux Falls, and we were like, "You guys, we're so excited. We're moving to Seattle. We have a place set up over here." And then Gray was like, "Audrey, can I tell him?"
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So Gray was like, "Audrey, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Like, thank you for taking this chance with me, you know, like, will you marry me? And so we got engaged while we were in Sioux Falls. We kind of kept things a secret until we were in Seattle, and things just started to get like better and better. I don't know, just, you know, our relationship, our music, you know, the things that we were seeing were altering the type of lyrics that we were writing, and the way that we were living our lives was just felt so much like, to me, felt like rock and roll. It really did. We were like, who cares about tomorrow? Like, we're doing this today, you know, and suddenly 3 days later, we went from Nashville to Seattle, and it was the best experience of my life. So
yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite places. I miss it all the time.
I do too.
Just 30 minutes from the mountains.
Well, don't say that, because we'd miss you if you were.
Well, exactly. And I
love Sioux Falls. I couldn't, I'm here for life. So
well, see, for me, it was Colorado. My first 2 years out of college, I worked in Colorado.
Yeah.
So, anytime that I cross the state line traveling out there, this huge grin gets on my face.
Yep.
You start to remember the interstate views and you're like, oh, yes, we're almost there.
Well, and I grew up here, most of my life, so I've never had any, issues with Sioux Falls or anything. I watched it grow into, a big little city now.
It is,
of course, I'm a lot older than you guys. But when I was 16 and, got the license, and the first thing was, you're going to drive up to Sioux Falls and so forth. And I remember the population signs being 80,000,
wow.
And now we're over 200,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've seen that growth. But I think the thing for me that has been so great, and I don't know where you can label it time-wise, but definitely over the past decade,
yes,
if maybe not the past two, the arts and entertainment community has exploded.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's been so great, to see things. And I know that I think the sculpture walk might be going on about 20 years now or so.
Wow, yeah.
But everything that's come along with that. And I think this has to be fun for you guys, especially. All the different venues you can play now.
Right, yep.
Wonderful places.
Yeah,
like Our Wine, for example.
This
is one of our favorite places.
This is one of our favorite places. Absolutely.
Sure.
The last time we played, we came in and Ricardo said, "Hey, we moved the stage from one side to the next." And that changed everything.
Yeah,
I mean, we loved playing here before, but the last time we played, I just felt like we were musicians. Mm-hmm. We were not a cover band that night. We were like, we're just going to play what we want. And I felt so inspired. I was feeding off of your energy. Yeah. We were feeding off of there was 20 extra seats that were available, and the house was packed. It was great. And you know what I heard? The next day, I remember I kept saying, my eyes are burning. It feels like there's someone smoking cigars in here. The night after we played, the fire alarms went off because of, I don't know, something was going on in the kitchen. And we were like, thank God we played Friday.
Well, I thought it felt a little weird that night, but I wasn't sure.
A few Mondays ago, in fact, Valentine's Day it was, between interviews, those things, and they're loud.
Yeah,
yes, they are.
Sure. Well, that's kind of how, like, whenever we go into a venue, I approach it from a standpoint of initially before when I'm setting up, getting ready to do sound, I look at the building itself and I look for the way the acoustics are going to bounce and things like that. Now, there's a lot of venues in town, but not all of them are kind of geared towards being, listening rooms or anything for music necessarily. So when they moved us from the corner, which I was totally used to, and then moving us to this side, I looked up and I saw these beams going across the ceiling. I'm like, that's going to pose a challenge for dispersion of sound and things. And, so that's kind of how we approach everything when it comes to our shows is, we want to kind of have the right volume level for the venue and have the right, lighting and have the right, just the right mood sort of.
Well, and that has to depend upon the individual restaurant or bar as well as to what they have.
Right, exactly.
You're obviously going to probably juice things up if you go to a bar that, likes to tout rock and roll.
Right,
absolutely.
You play here at Our Wine where it's, people enjoying their meal, sitting back, and the music is an accompaniment.
Yes.
Right. And that's one of the most fun things to tackle when it comes to playing music is just kind of reading rooms.
Yeah.
It's just when you sit down, you want to just make everyone happy. And that's it.
I would just like to voice Grayson Schultz is probably the most underrated sound tech in Sioux Falls, because honestly, it doesn't matter what venue we're in. If he is running sound for us, I feel completely confident. I don't feel like I'm too loud or too soft. Like, it's wonderful. And I hear that from a lot of people, a lot of our musicians, they just
I don't know. Yeah, I
I'm
can't
sorry.
take a compliment, but appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, we the old thing of don't over sound the room.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Because there's so
exactly.
many people that do that. And
Yes.
It's like, really,
Yeah.
we're not enjoying this per se. So,
Our ears are being blasted off.
and you're trying to have a conversation with somebody that's a foot and a half away from you,
Yeah.
and you can't hear a single thing. That gets a little tough that way. What are some of the venues that you've played? Some of the bigger places that you've really enjoyed.
Well, I think, the biggest show I've ever played, I think for the most people, was actually the first ever Riverfest. Somehow, me and my former band, Hometown Glow, we played down at the first, what's it called? The first weekend or...
Riverfest.
Well, not Riverfest. It's the block party. And then, so they said, well, we had Hometown Glow here, but we remember you had another band before that band, but we want you to do Riverfest, but we can't market it the same. We don't want the same band. So I said, okay. And so I had to call the old guys up and say, hey, they want us to do this Riverfest. I don't know what it is, and it sounds like it's going to be cool. And so we went back to the old branding, and the new band was a little bit like, what are we doing here? Because I was like, don't worry, I got this plan. We're going to play half the set with the old band, and then I'm going to bring you guys up. It's going to be super awesome. It was not awesome. Everybody was like, what's going on, dude? So it was, but that was, I think, so many people there. They had the beer tents set up right
that
beside the
was
stage.
huge. I remember being
They
at that
couldn't
first
get
one.
beer to the tents. There was just so many people. The mayor hugged me on the stage. It was just one of the most amazing moments, ever.
Wow.
But that was the biggest show in Sioux Falls that I've been a part of. One of my,
So did you
favorite
actually
shows.
change the name of the band for that night then?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because Frank Sinatra won a national radio talent contest like 4 weeks in a row, all under different names.
oh, really nice. Well, it works, I guess.
That's a really smart idea.
Audrey, how do you like to brand the type of music that the two of you write and sing together? And just in general, how do you like to brand you guys as a formidable duo for people to come out and see?
Well, our Facebook music page is Adriana and Grayson Schultz. And so when we play music, I go by Adriana and Grayson Schultz. I would say we're just, our music is very eclectic. I mean, Grayson comes from this blues and soul background. I'd say a little bit of rock and roll too, a little bit of funk, reggae. There's slight influences in that genre.
Just name everything. It's fine.
Well, no, that's yours. Those are yours. Those 5, 6, whatever.
all of the above.
Yes, all of the above. And for me, I do. I was very inspired by country music, by pop music, and rock and roll. Growing up, I loved Shania Twain. I loved the Allman Brothers. I loved, just a big variety of musicians in that sort of
Willie
lane.
Nelson. Yeah.
Willie Nelson. I love Willie. I love Miranda. I love Carrie. Kind of the female country artists, and then a lot of like the classic rock that my mom and dad would listen to. And so when we bring those writing styles together, it's really something that, can be for everyone. And I think the songs that we write are just something that we found that we liked together. And it was just something like we go back to the date nights and stuff, like these are things that we would be doing at home in our living room, and we get to do that for live audiences, in the summer and the
You
spring.
mentioned Allman Brothers.
Yes.
So some Southern rock roots?
Southern rock. Yeah, I would say. Yeah. And so that's why it was just really nice to fit in to the Nashville scene, because you get a lot of those influences there. And then I brought, the female country taste to that, and wrote a few songs with some people down there that just felt right. And but I just always wanted to grow. I don't think country music was where I was meant to stay. And so that's why when the opportunity to go to Seattle arose, it was like, yes, because I also love Paramore. I love Rihanna. I love Nirvana. I love, all of the punk and the grunge that I grew up with in high school. And so to hear some of those influences, where they came from, and like Prince and things like that, it was just a really fun experience to go through that. And so I think as an individual and both as a duo, when we're able to put our minds together, just something great happens.
Yeah, I think we really live through our music too. So our music lives through us. When we play shows, kind of all of a sudden, we might have this song that's all about, our just love for each other and our family and, the good times. And then, I might go to work and I didn't take the trash out, and all of a sudden I come home to a tune that's like, you ain't gonna bring me down. And Audrey has this original. I'm like, where did that come from? I was like, okay, I'll jump on board, because expression is the best way to create music. So if I had to do something wrong for a good song to come out of it, then it's good on me, right?
So what were your influences, Grayson?
My influences mostly stem from, like she said, the soul tunes. So I kind of
what about specifically a guitarist?
A guitarist? Let's see. Well, obviously Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Stevie Ray, love this.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just music that you can listen to. Like when I was younger, I found myself listening to Pink Floyd a lot.
Yeah.
Nothing that really like you would hear in my music necessarily, but just when you hear just some of those solos that they came out with back then, it was just like, man, they just had the ears, the tone, everything was just like, just had a certain attitude, but also subtlety to it that was just well placed and well timed. It was a cockiness with a humbleness also, you couldn't quite pin it. And that's kind of where guitar, I don't claim myself as a guitar player at all.
But he's a very good guitar player.
But I would rather have someone else play guitar. I kind of feel like I'm a vocalist first. So, and when I play guitar, sometimes I feel like it's harder for me to sing the way I want to sing.
Yeah.
So, but as far as vocals go, Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, all those guys,
Eddie
it's
Money.
just... That's my dad's.
I know, but
Another God rest his soul.
we love anybody.
Yeah. Well, Tommy Gervin, he was a good guitar player too, man.
Yeah.
And so, but that's only because my dad showed him to me.
Thank you.
So do either of you play other instruments?
A little piano, a little drums.
I play some piano.
Okay.
Sometimes when we're jamming in the studio, Gray will hop on a different instrument, and I'm like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I'll try. I don't think she knows better, but
I do.
I'm just kidding.
I'm such a beginner in every instrument. I mean, you were the one who made me play and play and play guitar over and over again until I was like, okay, I can finally do this with my eyes closed.
I wouldn't.
So
claim
for me, it's
myself
only
as
guitar
like a multi-instrumentalist by any means, but I just like to make sounds. And the thing about instruments is if you have the ears for it, you can hit a note or hit two notes, and all of a sudden it's not going to sound bad necessarily.
Yeah.
So it might not be, some of these guys around here, but I feel like I can make some good tunes on instruments. So that's,
How are either of you at improvisation in music? How would you rate yourself?
Gray is the go-to on improv, and then I can feed off of that. I feel like I'm able to mimic, if someone is like in their moment, I'm over here like cheering it on, like, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. As prepared as I want to be in music, I feel like you're never going to be prepared enough. So I've always just thought it better to be lucky. And I show up and I feel like sometimes I just don't really understand it, but I'm just going to give you my best. No matter what, I'm just going to do my best. And more times than not, I've been lucky, like just to be able to perform on the spot, so when it comes to improvisation, that's a trained thing too. A lot of guys will play piano their whole life and they'll get out of high school. This is quoting one of my good friends, Alex Olson. He trained his whole life, and then all of a sudden you get out of college, training and music and all that, and then you're left with, well, I've learned everything there is to offer, but now what can I do? And it's like, oh, it's a blank canvas there.
Yeah.
So then you really have to reteach yourself.
Yeah, because the thing that I think of as I'm, out and about, usually we're at least out one night a week, taking in some music, is just the incredible talent that takes place when somebody just goes off on something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, Audrey, then you feed off that and everybody else feeds off that
Right.
and so forth. It's just like, and that's why I love jazz so much is because there's so much of that. But the other thing is I love seeing who's ever performing when you can tell they're in that groove and they know they're in that groove.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just so fun to see that. Audrey, what's been your most favorite time performing on stage?
That is a tough question. I would have
I got two in today, didn't I?
That is a really hard question. I think one of my favorite times performing. Wow. I'm going to go back to the old days. I have two.
Okay.
I would say the first would be there was an evening at a show choir concert in high school where I signed up to sing in the solo competition throughout the day. And in high school, I think I was I was somewhat outgoing with people that I was familiar with, but I was a very shy person in high school. And so everyone was like, Audrey's doing a solo. Audrey's doing this like solo song, right? I like everybody, we're going to go listen to Audrey. And so it was literally a full house. And this was the first time I had ever done something of this caliber. And so I remember being backstage. I sang At Last by Etta James. And I was like hyperventilating in the, backstage. And one of the sound techs was like, it's going to be okay. They like patted me on the shoulder, like, do you need a glass of water or something? And I'm over here like hunched over, like, I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. And I was the last person of the solo contest. So finally they call my name. I walk up there. And I was never once by myself on a stage before. And then the music starts playing and I'm thinking, I'm going to forget the words or something. And then all of a sudden there's singing and it's me, but I'm hearing someone else, but it's me. And I'm like, I can't see anybody's faces. And finally I get comfortable and then I just go for it. And I'm singing. I see my friends, in the audience, and I was about 17 years old. And this was, once the song was over, there was a big pause. And I just remember there was a moment where I took a deep breath and it was silent. And then the applause came and I just like wanted to cry because it was like the scariest moment of my life is over. I finally did something that I've always wanted to do, sing this solo. And, I am proud to say that was like the first time I'd ever won something, so that was one of my most favorite and memorable moments was singing that song for my peers and for, everyone else I think it was in Sioux City. So whoever is listening, if they know, they can correct me. But and then the second most memorable time was playing at the Levitt when we got to perform together. That was the most populated concert when Tonic Solfa played, and we got to open for them as Grayson Schultz and Adriana. And that was just a wonderful experience because our children got to watch, our family, our friends, and just all of Sioux Falls who came to support the Levitt shows and Tonic Solfa. Mm-hmm. And that was it was awesome. It was a wonderful evening. So
yeah, we really enjoyed playing down there.
We did.
Yeah. We didn't know what to expect at all. We hadn't been to any of the shows down there beforehand, so it was nice to get down there and finally, see one of the shows. And Tonic Solfa was super nice, super down to earth guys. And
some of them were
right, exactly.
Represent.
Yeah, they were it made us comfortable and went out there, and all I could remember seeing was my family in the crowd of sea of people on there. They overflowed into Phillips Avenue there.
Oh, I remember that.
Just so many people, but it was just cool to be like, have that many people and not really feel nervous after all we've worked for, so it was cool.
Is that the same for you then, in terms of a favorite moment on stage, or what else would there be?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, hugging the mayor was pretty cool. It made me feel validated, like Sioux Falls had finally accepted me,
Let's see, at that time would have been my man Mike. Mike Luther?
Yes, exactly.
Luther,
Yep, gave me a big old hug, and I was proud.
I remember one time a friend and I had co-hosted, emceed a cooking something that was a benefit for somebody, and afterward the mayor came up and said, "Thank you guys, because I'm guessing you're probably not getting paid much tonight." I said, "Well, thank you, Mayor.
You're right, but thank you."
All right, 2 questions I always love to end with. Quite often, the second question is answered during the first. Grayson, we'll go with you first.
Okay.
All right. When you are not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. I spend most of my time working. At night, I like to spend my time hanging out with Audrey. I do like video games, I guess. I play a little bit of video games here and there. Not so much anymore. I'm a lot busy, so a lot more busy. But, entertainment is just something that I like to do all the time. I like to play my guitar. I like to sing my tunes. I like to have fun. So, and be a dad. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. You pretty well answered the second question, which is, any other hobbies. So a gamer, huh?
Yeah, a little bit sometimes. Yeah, not so much anymore, though, with 3 kids and working all the time. By the time I get home, I just don't want to do anything, honestly.
Audrey, when you're not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Other entertainment. I do enjoy, binge watching like reality music shows or dance shows. My daughter loves to dance. And so we will, sit and listen to music and do dance parties or yoga parties or, things of that nature. And I also, I love sports. I love running. So any chance I get to be active, that is a big part of my life as well.
All right. So you both did it. It just happens so often.
Yes.
So I'm guessing running's the other, hobby and so forth.
Absolutely.
Right? Anything else?
Well, it's unfair. She got asked second. She had time to think about it.
I did. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I'd say finger painting or
she's actually a very good artist too. She does draw and stuff. I try to challenge her to do that more because she is very talented.
Actually, the poster we made for Jazz Crawl, I made that poster. Grayson Schultz and some actually good musicians. Yeah.
Loved it. All right. Hey, thank you both so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you, Dave.
Definitely glad that we finally got it to work out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just been fantastic. You are both just a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
When it comes to seeing that, there's a young couple that is this talented, this in love, and, it works for you that you can be out there together on stage. And, so thankful for that you are both an integral part of the Sioux Empire arts and entertainment scene.
Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XL Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xlchiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XL Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
I'm thinking it's my Grandpa Dave, but I just call him Dave.
Thanks again to the great conversation we had with Grayson Schultz and Audrey Vargas. If you can catch them sometime, do so. You will be thankful that you did. They are incredible to watch on stage together. Yeah, they're pretty dang cute. Also, thank you to the man that put the R in our wine bar, Ricardo Terabelsi, as he is so pleasant enough to allow us to do our conversations for this show at our wine bar. Someday I'll even tell you the full story as to how that came about. And of course, thank you. Thank you for the shares, the downloads, everything else. Here's where we are. We are now over 8,000 downloads and 555 Facebook likes. for the Dave Holly Hour page. Keep up the good work. So what's going on this weekend for us? Well, here's what we're going to hit. My wife and I, tonight, we're headed to the monstrous little theater production of Rabbit Hole. Friday night, the ruggedly handsome trivia host returns to the sky in tea with some March Madness fun. And if it works out then, Saturday night, we'll be at the Red Rock in Rowena for Crazy Frank Karaoke. Thanks again for joining. Certainly appreciate it. Continue to support arts and entertainment in the Sioux Empire or wherever you may live. Do so. It's vital to the community. Remember, I'm Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffett Entertainment. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to DaveHollyHour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional links section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holly on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holly Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.